Hi, and welcome back to the next instalment of the Inanna story. I'm Nicole. I'm one of the tutor facilitators with Pam and Denise from Australia. And so we continue the Inanna story with Inanna arriving at the gates to the Underworld. Now, Inanna, being a powerful goddess, she has a whole bunch of keys. She has this massive bunch. And even though she has this massive bunch of keys, she can't get any of them to fit in the lock to that gate that leads to the Underworld. She tries every single one. And no matter which way she twists and turns them, none of them work. So she stands on this threshold that starts her journey into the Underworld. And she realises that she'll have to knock on the gates. So she knocks and calls Bidu. And he says, "Who are you? And why are you on this road when no one returns unchanged? Why do you want to come here?" And she says proudly, "Well, I'm Inanna. I'm a powerful goddess, a queen. I'm a wife of Demutsi and a mother and a poet." She reels off everything that she identifies herself as. And so when Bidu opens that first gate just to crack to let her come in, he starts taking each one of her Mehda one by one. And she starts that journey so proudly and so confident and so sure. And then he takes off her crown of knowledge, all the things and all that knowledge and research and understanding that she thought might protect her in the Underworld. But she finds out that maybe it doesn't. And Bidu asks her as he takes that, "Who are you?" And then as she protests about having her crown taken, he says, "Shh, quiet, Inanna. The ways of the Underworld are perfect and they must not be questioned." She's a little bit taken back because she wasn't expecting this. And she goes to the next gate. And the same thing happens again. He says, "Who are you? And why have you come on this road where no one returns unchanged?" She gives Bidu again her resume. "I'm a wife, I'm a poet, I'm a goddess, I'm a powerful woman. This is who I am." And then he takes something else from her. And she protests again. "No, but I need that." And he says, "Shh, quiet, Inanna. The ways of lockdown are perfect and they must not be questioned." And she continues on, but even after a couple of gates, her sense of certainty is starting to wane. It's getting taken from her. And at the third gate, he says, "You're not a queen down here, Inanna." And he says, "Quiet, Inanna. The ways of Labourland are perfect and must not be questioned." And at the next gate, she protests and she says, I'm a warrior and a queen," when he takes the next lot of Mehda. And Bidu says to her, "You're not a warrior now. You're not in battle now. Quiet, Inanna. The ways of active labour are perfect and they must not be questioned." And after quite a few gates and going deeper and deeper into the Underworld, it's getting darker It's damp, it's cold. She's starting to lose all track of time. She's losing her footing, she's slipping, she's so hungry, and she just doesn't even know where she is anymore. And then he takes that bracelet, that special bracelet that's been passed down through 7 generations of women in her family. He takes it from her and he says, "Shh, quiet, Inanna. The ways of isolation are perfect and must not be questioned." And towards the end, towards the last couple of gates, she wonders if she made a mistake coming to the underworld. And she's so frustrated that she just sits down and says, "Nobody's taking anything else from me. That's it." And she just sits there. She actually falls into a deep sleep. And Bidu, he just stands there patiently and waits for her. When she wakes up, she's just lost in despair. She wonders if she screams loud enough, maybe Ninshubur will hear her and will come and get her. But it doesn't work. She screams so loud and nobody comes. But Bidu is still standing there patiently waiting for her to be ready. Because Bidu knows that there are gifts from the underworld that Inanna needs. She needs these gifts. She has to bring them back to make herself whole again. And so when she arrives at the 6th gate, she's finally starting to get it. Bidu says, "Who are you?" And she says, "I'm a woman. I'm this breath. I was. I don't know." And then finally at the last gate, all she has left now is her royal robe. All of her other Mehda have been stripped from her. So finally, at the 7th gate, she has nothing left to give. She can't even stand anymore because this journey's been so taxing. It's just taken everything from her and more than she ever thought she could even give. And so when Bidu says, "Who are you?" all she can answer is, "I'm nothing. I am that I am." And Bidu smiles. "Ah, yes." And he opens that final gate, and Inanna falls through that threshold into the throne room. And that's where she locks eyes with her sister, Ereshkigal, the queen of the underworld. And that's where the rest of the story continues. So let's talk a little bit about thresholds, because this is one of the symbols in this part of the story. So Inanna stands at that threshold, and this is the threshold that actually starts her initiation. It's the start of her journey into the underworld. So crossing thresholds can be like crossing between the conscious and the unconscious, the known and the unknown. And it's often like that point of no return. With birth, especially the first time that someone's having a baby, it's the most dramatic crossing of a threshold, because it's like whatever that first moment that you realise that this is the start of labour or things are really happening, the baby's coming and this is it. You know that once you cross that threshold, nothing will ever be the same again. It could be, there's various thresholds that you can cross through with pregnancy, like arriving at the hospital, or the threshold of active labour and the threshold of crossing into transition. So some threshold moments in movies that might help you to think about some moments that you've had to cross thresholds, whether in general life, in birth or even with the COVID-19 isolation lockdown is in the movie Moana, when Moana decides, even though a lot of people are telling her not to do it, she decides to leave the island and she sails past the reef. And everyone told her this is very unsafe to do it, but she does it anyway. And when she crosses that reef, that's the first threshold she crosses in that movie, and she learns that there's different rules in the new world. So, yeah, I'd like you to maybe even pause for a moment and maybe think about some different thresholds that you can recall crossing yourself. So let's talk about the gatekeeper and what kind of symbol and archetype the gatekeeper is. Bidu. Another thing that the gatekeeper is often called is a threshold guardian, which makes total sense if you think about this story. So a threshold guardian or gatekeeper is seen like a temporary block. And sometimes when we're talking about the hero's journey or things like that, often the threshold guardian is there to tempt you to turn back and not actually take the journey. So that can be their role sometimes. It can also just be like a challenge that we need to face before we really commit, like we're being tested to see if we can really do this and really start that journey to the underworld. And another thing that the gatekeeper is often associated with is guarding a treasure. They guard the mystery of the secrets to the underworld, which I think is pretty cool. So, one way that you can look at gatekeepers is different types of gatekeepers, like external gatekeepers and internal gatekeepers. So, a lot of people at the moment will relate to the external gatekeepers. So, just like with COVID-19, external gatekeepers are events that are outside of our control. So that's exactly what's going on right now. But it could also be things like oppression, hostility, prejudice, even bad weather or bad luck could be like an external gatekeeper. And some of the internal gatekeepers, these are things that we actually do to ourselves, and these can sometimes be the worst things or the worst type of gatekeeper. So even just things like telling ourselves that, oh, I can't do that, you know, thinking that we're not capable and having that kind of I can't belief, that's a type of gatekeeper that we can do to ourselves, an internal gatekeeper. You could even look at fear as an internal gatekeeper as well. And some of the things, and these things are probably, we're all probably noticing different things like this at the moment, is that different types of dependencies, whether we're turning at the moment to food or technology or alcohol or just different ways of checking out and dissociating, sometimes they're also ways that we're actually trying to gatekeep ourselves. So a gatekeeper is basically like a temporary blockage. And like Inanna had to with Bidu, we have to give up something physical or something symbolic that we value. And we have to ask ourselves, who am I without this? And that's what Inanna had to do at each gate. She had to say, who am I without my crown of knowledge? Who am I without my gold bangle that has been passed down through 7 generations of women? Who am I? Who am I? And that's the ultimate gatekeeper question. And I'm sure we've all got these kind of questions at the moment when, you know, if we've had a change to our career or things like that, we have to ask ourselves, who am I when I'm not this? So I'd like you to think about what kind of gatekeeper questions do you have that have come up for you with this lockdown? Who am I without this? as a symbol, gates are generally seen as a boundary of some kind, a pause, or a transition. So just like Inanna, we can be gradually stripped of our Mehda. And just like her, we can often lose some of those ideas of the things that we thought would keep us safe in some way, or separate, or maybe even special in some way. Like she thought that because she's a powerful queen and goddess, that somehow she would be protected. But she discovered when she got into the underworld that her being a queen, that had no bearing in the underworld. Nothing. It meant nothing there. Bidu said, "You're not a queen down here, Inanna." And also it could be stripping us of things that we think would keep us immune from something as well. So often when we talk about gates that we could face or pass through, some common ones that often come up when we're talking about pregnancy, birth, and the postnatal time or postpartum time. Some common ones that could pop up are the gate of great doubt, or the gate of the unexpected, the gate of fear, the gate of intuition, the gate of great determination, the gate of holy terror, the gate of not knowing, the gate of great love, and even something like the gate of get me the hell out of here. So gradually, just like Inanna, all of our protection is stripped. We can be left feeling exposed, vulnerable, stripped of pride, dignity, certainty, all of those different roles and defenses and our facades and the way that we see ourselves can all be slowly stripped and taken away from us. And many of the gates that we encounter are also gates that are just constructed in our own minds as well. So I'd like you to have a think about if there's any particular gate that stands out to you that you've passed through on this recent journey that we're all going through. And so to finish the video today, I'd like to share with you, and I'll put up the picture. This is actually something that I found on Pam's blog, her old blog, Birth Peeps. And she has a picture that she painted of the gatekeeper, and there's a little poem or quote that goes with it. So I'd like to read it to you. And this is the words of the gatekeeper. My eyes are wide open to see you, to see through you, to see who you are and what you don't need any longer. My mouth sings to you the deepest questions in a golden voice, ever asking, who are you? Why have you come to this place at this time? What must you do? What price are you willing to pay? My hands are big because their job is to give and take. Sometimes they will give you a gift you need on the descent. My feet are big. They have wandered all over the worlds and underworlds. It's a long way. I have a key, but you do not need my key. The door is open whenever you are ready. And so just to leave you today, I'm going to leave you with a few quotes on the end of the videos that I found that kind of resonated with me when I was thinking about Inanna passing through the underworld and every one of us passing through the gates of the underworld. I look forward to hearing your personal experiences with this part of the story on the live call.